Hello and welcome to the Purifying Word, a moment of encounter with the Lord who speaks. Be blessed as you listen. A reflection for Holy Thursday. On the same night that he was to be betrayed, the Lord Jesus took some bread and giving thanks broke it and said, "This is my body, and this cup is the new covenant in my blood. Whenever you drink it, do this as a memorial of me. Until the Lord comes, therefore, every time you eat this bread and drink this cup, you are proclaiming his death." This is what we heard from today's second reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 24 to 25. Today's liturgical celebration invites us to contemplate the mysteries and the gifts of the Eucharist, Holy Orders, that is priesthood, and the Christian service, diaconia. In order to appreciate the nature and the source of the Christian service, today's celebration invites us to reflect on Jesus' complete self-gifting and abasement in the Eucharist. The Holy Thursday is the commemoration of Jesus' Last Supper, which gave birth to the Eucharist and the celebration of priesthood, the Holy Orders, which are two inseparable gifts. Hence, on the Holy Thursday, priests renew their priestly promises to lay down their lives in loving service to their brothers and sisters. According to St. Pope John Paul II, at the Last Supper, the Eucharist was born the very moment Jesus pronounced the words, "This is my body and this is my blood." And when he added, "Do this in memory of me," the priesthood was also born. The Eucharist is principally the service par excellence, and the Holy Orders, that is priesthood, is in its essence directed towards the self-gifting love and service exemplified in the Eucharist. This is probably why St. John's Gospel gives account of the washing of the feet instead of the account of the institution of the Eucharist. St. John sees in this mysterious gesture of the washing of the disciples' feet a gesture of self-gifting service. Pope Benedict, God rest his soul, invited us to deepen our understanding of these events because in them, he says, the mystery of our redemption takes place. But then, as soon as we try to contemplate on these mysteries of the Eucharist and the Holy Orders, we are immediately confronted by the mystery of the Christian service, diaconia, which expresses and makes alive the mysteries of the Eucharist. In the institution of the Eucharist, Jesus set us an unsurpassable example of service, a service of total gifting, self-abasement, and abandonment for the salvation of our souls. To make constantly present this mystery of God's incomprehensible self-gifting, priesthood, the Holy Orders, was also gifted. The priest is therefore immediately invited to enter into the same mystery of a complete self-gifting for the love of God and His Church. Hence, during their ordination, the Church prays that the priests may give up their lives for God and for the salvation of their brothers and sisters, striving to be conformed to the image of Christ Himself and to offer God a constant witness of faith and love. What could be more powerful in witnessing to our faith than a self-gifting service impelled solely by charity? For greater love has no one than this, that he lays down his life for his friends. To serve the mystery of the Eucharist well, all the faithful are to strive to enter into that kenotic, that self-emptying dimension of the Christian service, diaconia, exemplified in Jesus' willingness to strip himself of every honor, glory, and respect, as he did in the washing of the feet of his disciples and upon the cross. True Christian service, therefore, is not directed to self. True Christian service is a fruit of the Eucharistic presence among us. No surprising then, after the washing of the disciples' feet, Jesus asked them, "Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I have washed your feet, you should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. You will be blessed if you do it." Jesus' washing of the disciples' feet, a duty reserved for slaves at the time, points to Jesus' conscious self-abasement to assume the condition of a servant. I am among you, says Jesus, to serve and not to be served. This gesture is an invitation to humility and for us not to be ashamed of our woundedness before Him. It points to His willingness to wash us and to be one with us. For if I do not wash you, Jesus says to St. Peter and to us, you will have no part in me. If this is an example for us to follow, then we are invited to bear with one another's sins, to bear with one another's weaknesses. Jesus' gesture here points to the truth that He is the true Lamb that lays down His life for the cleansing of God's people. As the promised Lamb in Genesis chapter 22 verse 8, prefigured by the unblemished Lamb that was killed and eaten by God's people in Egypt, as we heard from today's first reading from Exodus chapter 12. Jesus' blood, the long-awaited blood, shall indeed become the remedy for all our uncleanliness. In that blood, we shall eternally be washed and be made clean. In that washing of the blood, we have a part in Him. As John chapter 1 verse 29 says, He is the Lamb that takes away the sins of the world. He is indeed the true Lamb of Passover, whose blood has granted us entrance into His kingdom and set us free. Therefore, on this night, Jesus gives Himself away to be taken. He now goes to confront the power of sin and death. And I suppose Jesus' question for me and for you tonight would be, do you understand what I have done for you? And I suppose the invitation is for me, is for you to follow His example by giving ourselves in the loving service to others as a path to the eternal happiness. Thus, Jesus immediately said to His disciples, happiness will be yours if you do just as I have done for you. On Good Friday, Jesus will be broken on the cross, and by His blood, we are set free. Let us now go and join Him at the Garden of Gethsemane as He prays and invites us to stay with Him in prayer that we may not be put to the test.